I never saw my mother and my father quarrel one day.
Can a woman actually stay in a marriage where the man cannot perform sexually? Bishop Burger, there's this saying that you fake it till you make it. Have you ever faked it? Women inclusiveness in governance cannot be undermined. We know the role women play in leadership today. When you give them any position of leadership, they always excel. On today's program, we want to take a look at women inclusiveness in leadership. Please don't go away, we'll be right back. When we return, we'll be introducing our guests on tonight's show. Men, you talk about women pretending. Don't men pretend?
Growing up, I never saw my mother and my father quarrel one day.
Can a woman actually stay in a marriage where the man cannot perform sexually? Bishop Burger, there's this saying that you fake it till you make it. Have you ever faked it? Hello, you are welcome to the Karifest show. If you are just joining us, it's Karifest Duchess Onyeka, and on today's program, we want to take a look at women's inclusiveness in governance. With me in the studio is a female advocate, someone who is very, very much into advocacy, human rights advocacy, a grassroots mobilizer, a woman that has served in different capacities in leadership. Please join me in welcoming Barrister Bridget Anyafulu to the show. You are welcome, my sister.
Good evening, viewers.
Can you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah, you introduced me. My name is Bridget Anyafulu, and I'm a lawyer, and a Asaba woman, a Delta, and a Nigerian citizen.
Okay, and I know that you have served in different capacities in this current administration of His Excellency Senator Dr. Ato Ifeanyi. Could you please shed more light on the roles you've played in this current administration?
Yes, in 2016, His Excellency Senator Ifeanyi Atokowa appointed me the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Child Rights Advocacy. That was the first such appointment, SSA to the Governor on Child Rights Advocacy in Africa. It was the first time. It was the first time such appointment was made.
In Africa. Wow.
So what did we do? My mandate was to make sure first that the child rights law in Delta State is properly implemented. So first we had to find out what policies were on ground and what were the things that had happened between 2008 and 2016, because the child rights law in Delta State was domesticated in 2008, November 2008, and then as of 2016, no proper implementation had happened. So we needed to look at the position of the law, the provisions, and then try to simplify the child rights law that has about 267 pages to just about 16 pages. And then did it in such a manner that it will be child friendly, so that when a child sees the law, you'll be able to understand even in 10 minutes. Well, at the end of the day, we were also able to have a comprehensive data of the number of schools, primary schools and secondary schools in the state, and the number of pupils and number of students we have in the primary and secondary school level, working with the Ministry of Education, and then making sure that children attend school by 7:45, to make sure that at 7:45 every child is in school, and to also make sure that we don't see children going around communities while school is in session. To also make sure that some of the adults who take children around begging or hawking, that will also bring them to a stop. And then at the end of the day, to make sure that implementing the child rights law in Delta State what we have as family courts be established, and at the end of the day we had all this. And by 2018, 2019, I was reappointed to serve as executive assistant to the governor, special duties, girl child empowerment office. That was also the first office for the first time in the history of Delta State and Nigeria where we have such office established. And what was our mandate? To make sure that we have entrepreneurship skills for girls between 18 and 30, and to also continue in the implementation of the Child's Right Law, and to make sure that we establish the committee on implementation of the Child's Right Law, which happened. So today in Delta State, we have a 7 committee on Child's Right implementation. These were the mandates. And to also make sure that girls who have graduated or are still in school but have learned some skills are brought to learn, to scale up what skills they have. And how do you do it? The state made sure we were very strict on the issue to make sure that it's only girls who are willing to serve, who are willing to go do those skills that we are taking. So the meeting with His Excellency was to make sure that it is not about who you know, but those who are willing to work, and then at the end of the day are able to become entrepreneurs in the state and to do even greater works outside the state. And today, that's Girl Child Empowerment Office has translated into a ministry of Girl Child Entrepreneurship and Development, because of the fact that His Excellency understands that in all things there must be sustainability. So you do not start a thing and leave it on the way. And following the 2030 agenda, it became very imperative that the girls, that Delta State need to bridge the gap. And then at the point of that implementation of the right advocacy, Delta State government also achieved so many things in issues of parity in education, where you find out that children in primary schools, whether they are girls and boys, where there was a balance. So the state was able to strike a balance where you have children enrolled in school and then retained in school and graduate at the end of the day, both male and the girl children. We had a balance in the state. So these are the things that we've been able to achieve. And in 2021, His Excellency also appointed me again as the Pioneer Commissioner for Humanitarian and Community Support Services. What were we to do? It became obvious to His Excellency and his team that though we have been able to bridge the gap between the girls to find out those ones that need work and the ones that will have to work with their skills, that it is not only on certificate issues, but that you have to acquire your certificate and have enough skills so that you'll be able to manage in between your certificates. So at the end of the day, you're able to keep a home, you're able to keep things moving. These are the things that His Excellency did. Or he said that it is important that the state government will have to reach those who have been excluded. And you cannot be talking about the 2030 agenda and so many people who are in the rural areas or had to reach areas are not reached. So the mandate specifically was to go look for them. And how do you do that? You need to do need assessments across communities in the whole of the state. And then he also specifically asked that they have to be a social register for the excluded. Now, what will happen in that social register? There was a data collection after needs assessment to know all those people that the state government have not visited. So whether there are persons living with disabilities, whether they are just vulnerable people that have no money because of hard times, these persons are recorded and data has been taken into the social register. So what happened at the end of the day is that you now sit down in your office, because the state already has a one-stop shop for all the issues of development on skills. So whether it is writer, whether it's project jazz, whether it's job creation, All of this is just ones that His Excellency can sit down in his office and just press a button, and he will tell you the number of youths that have benefited from the state skills. He will also tell you the number of girls that have benefited. His Excellency himself is also a member of the monitoring team, because the good thing about His Excellency's administration is that he's not asking you to just go and do the job. He's monitoring what you're doing. There's internal monitoring team. There's also external monitoring team, because it's impossible for you to do a thing and you are not able to measure progress. So His Excellency sometimes, even in his busy schedule, will have to enter his vehicle and run around whether they are STEP students, whether they are projects just who are finished. He will just come into one of the shops to see what you're doing. Because what His Excellency has done is that at the end of the training for these girls, for the youth, for all the people who go through skills, it is very important for the states that they established every one of them. So the youths, because he understands also that the youth is very critical in his administration. And if Delta State must move forward, you cannot work without you. It's impossible for you to move forward without the youths. So these are the earlier things he recognized and made sure that from step one to the stage where he is now, the youth is the most critical.
Okay, you said he will make sure that they're established by that.
Yes. Now, when after this skill training, they are established to the point of paying even for their shops. Okay. So if they are going to
choose to work with.
Oh, certainly everything that is needed to set up an office. If for example, what we are doing now, you were one of the students that studied, came to scale up on photography and issues of entertainment. As you're going, you have your cameras. So you have your office, and because what are they doing? I'm talking about sustainability. Sustainability means that even as you have been trained, you must have to take orders from the grassroots to train them. Whatever you have passed through at the state level, there should be a step-down program because you have gotten a shop. So you do not become a student of any of the government offices of the skills, and at the end of the day you remain in Asaba. No. That's why all the forms are taken to the local government offices. Now at the local government office, the community people in that local government will go to the local government office, take the form, fill the form, and tell the state what they have capacity to do and how that they will want the state government to scale up that capacity they already have. So at the end of the day, all these things will be done. It will take time to go through those applications, and then the best are taken. The mistake you will make as a student is to involve somebody who knows somebody in the state. If you get a card, a complimentary card from a commissioner, from anybody, for you to be taken for that program, that is a beginning of your failure. Because we do not need anybody to introduce you. All we want you to do is to tell the state that you have capacity to do this if you have the privilege. Then the state will now take you, give you that privilege, and train you to make you a better person. So when they scale your capacity, it is expected that when your capacity is scaled up, you go down with all that have been given to you to start up your program genuinely. And now, for you to be part of that program that you have been taking today to go through the orientation and the training is not the last. If you misbehave along the line, you will be dropped. So it is not just about your intelligence, it's not just about what you can offer. It is about who you are, your character, where are you coming from. So you need to learn morals. If you don't have it, you will drop. So you must have respect for yourself, have respect for the state, and recognize the fact that you have come to do a program. And you must follow the rules. If you don't follow those rules, they will step you aside. This is what has happened. So discipline is very critical for that program. If you do not, in the process of monitoring, you have refused to follow up with what have been taught and be able to manage others, because first is tolerance. How are you able to take care of those ones at the grassroots when you go back to the local government? If you do not do that, you are being monitored. So you just be surprised. You be in your office and you just open the door, or somebody just walk into your shop, and the next thing you hear is shouts, because who are you going to see?
The governor.
It's the governor. The governor has just walked into your shop to ask you, how are you coping? Are you all right? Has it been well with you? Do you have students? The students you have, are they disciplined? How are you coping with them? Have you been able to impact all those that
how productive are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So all these questions
he wants
ask
results. He's someone that wants results.
Exactly.
He's not just doing it for the praise of it. He wants results.
And he wants to find out what are the challenges.
You know, it was actually very good on his part to set up the Ministry for Humanitarian and Community Support Services,
yes,
which you were pioneer commissioner for. Then under your leadership, what was that ministry involved in? What were your activities like? What did you achieve?
One, in that directorate, the number one thing, like I said, was that recognize that there is still a gap. And that gap is to go find out those ones that have not been included. Because if you say you want an inclusive government, it means that everybody counts. So for those of them that have not been part of the administration, he wants you to go. So the mandate was to go and look for them wherever they are. Make sure that at every given point, are they the widows? You know there's a widows program. There is a data, a register for them already. So this social register will take everybody. If you are a widow, all you need to do is a button, and you see all the widows in Delta State, local government by local government, with their home address. They tell you the location. If you want to see a widow in Owolobo now, if you want to see a widow in Oruworo, if you want to see a widow in Idumasa, all he needs to do is to do it, just press a button.
Everything
and all the
show.
things
The
will show.
database is there.
Exactly. Now, if he wants to know whether this youth is working, they are monitoring everything. So when you go around the communities, you do a need assessment. The community people know their people. Even when you come into a community and say, where are the poor people, you want to meet with them, because you must first go to the gatekeepers, whether they are traditional rulers or community heads. You have a meeting with them. You cannot enter into any community without the head of the community. So these are the things we were able to do. Go into those communities, find out, they will tell you these ones are not doing well, these ones are not doing well. Just capture all of them into the register. So when you capture them, and the government needs a program for so group, all those people will be captured. And then at some point you give them some money to take them up. And part of the program also is to make sure we work with persons living with disabilities. And so you have...
That's an area he has passion for.
Exactly. Just do a button. His Excellency will sit down here and tell you the number of persons living with disabilities in Delta State. If you call, say, Sapler, for example, he will tell you then, he will give you a data.
Wow.
If you say Oshimili South, just give him 25 local governments, he tells you where they are. So that's the essence. So that social register comprises of all the vulnerable households in Delta State. Whether they are single mothers, whether they are old people, whether they are sick people, whether they are persons living with disabilities. It is from that program you know that persons living with disabilities who cannot even see are good farmers. So if he didn't do this, he will not be able to give you a fact of what is happening in Delta State. So that is part of what the humanitarian office is. Okay. Making sure they connect with the poor.
Okay,
wherever
with the grassroots proper. Now let's go back to your role as SSA on child rights advocacy.
Yes.
Child abuse is something that is very serious. I mean, it's an area that I feel the government has not really done enough. Being a former SSA to His Excellency Senator Dr. Ato Ifeanyi, the Executive Governor of Delta State, what were some of those laws that you had to implement, or did you restructure? Let's talk about it.
Now, when you say that the state has not done enough in the issue of child abuse, then it is because you don't have the facts. I'll tell you that we have done very intensive advocacy, even as an SSA to the governor on child's rights advocacy. I have visited the whole communities in the state.
Really?
Yes. I will tell you where the primary schools and secondary schools are located in any local government, in all the communities.
In Delta State, not just your local government.
No. I wasn't
an
an SSA for local government. I was an SSA to the governor for child rights advocacy for the state. So my duty was not to sit down in Asaba. My duty, I told you His Excellency is a development person. He does not expect you to sit down in the office. There's no job he has given to you that is his office work. Because you know why? The civil servants from the permanent secretary and all the directors and all are for the office. So they sit down. He wants you to find out what is happening to my people. So if you just sit down in the office and expect that people come and tell you stories, then you've not done the job. So my job was to go around the communities, find out are there schools that are not functional? Are there schools children are not going to school? Make your report and he gives others. And Minister of Education will take action immediately. There were schools who were not functional in the sense that maybe they don't have chairs, maybe they don't have the number of teachers were low and all that. All he needs to know is what is this report. He wants to know, that this place is overpopulated and there is no school. And the school close to it is very far from where the children. What does he do? He will go and plant a school. He tells Minister of Education, there must be a school here. That's why you have more schools, new schools, primary schools constructed. Those were issues. And then you find out that we have been able to have whistleblowers all over the place. Because the state government has decided to partner with everybody. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're an auntie, whether you are an artisan along the road. So that's why you can see a organizer pick a phone to call maybe a school director or myself or Minister of Men Affairs. This person is abusing the child, or this woman has a child here, is always beating. All those informations you hear on TV and going to police and working with Minister of Men Affairs, it is because people around now understand that we have a duty to report to the government. Those things didn't happen overnight. They happened because there was intensive advocacy. They happened because people were going around talking about it. It was not the job of maybe a private person. It was because government decided to pick those people who can do the job. I'm in development. I'm from the civil society world. And His Excellency knew I'm from the civil society. And he appointed me because he knows that a civil society person cannot sit at home and make a report.
Now, talking about your appointment, women inclusion or inclusiveness in governance is not what it should be. I mean, politics is a male-dominated terrain. Why are there few women in governance? Is it that the women who don't want to come out to contest, or is it that the male are not giving them that opportunity to participate? I want us to actually talk about female inclusiveness in governance.
Okay, but I will answer that. I will still give you two more things that we have in the implementation of the Child's Right Law.
Okay.
I told you there's a committee on Child's Right implementation, and it cuts across the local government and all the levels of whether you're a director, even in the tertiary institution. Now there's a family court established by the state. This family court does speedy trials for any case that concerns a child. You can go to the normal court where 3 months, 1 year, you're still in a matter. This family court doesn't have time to wait for 1 month. Bring the matter of any child to the family court. In 1 week, if you have committed the offense against the state, you either visit the female prison correctional center or the male correctional center.
Is it that effective?
Very, very effective. And not only that, Ministry of Justice has also opened the offenders register. The offenders register is that if somebody have raped a child or committed any offense against anybody, the face of that person will be on television all the time. Now that we have social media, the face of that person will be on social media. The implication is that no government will take you serious. You will not work anywhere. No private sector will take you. And then they will publish your name everywhere. Nobody should have anything to do with you. And not only that, even in the heat of COVID, the state government, Her Excellency, His Excellency, and the House of Assembly members made sure that the VAB law, the bill, was passed into law. The implication is that issues of violence, whether against women, so it is your duty to make sure that when things go wrong around your place, just make a call. Just step into any of the station, make a call, or say something. Or go to Ministry of Women Affairs, call the permanent secretary, even you call her in the midnight, even when you call the commissioner, anybody you call, members of the implementation committee, just make a call. Call Minister of Justice. If you don't have their number, go, just walk into the office. You don't need any protocol. So this is the position of implementation of the laws in Delta State.
As it concerns child rights.
As it concerns children, as it concerns girls, as it concerns women, everybody. So if you do not report, or your neighbor didn't report, if they don't get the information, they will not act. The moment they get information, just leave it. You don't need to bother yourself. All you need to do, you are not going to pay any lawyer to go to court, because even the Attorney General is ready to be in court for any issue that concerns a Delta.
Really?
Exactly. So we need to have facts, so you know what is happening.
That you can work with.
Exactly. Minister of Justice, Minister of Women Affairs, the Child Rights Implementation Committee, just meet with them. The moment you have their numbers, just stay in your bedroom and call them. And you hear the matter at the end of the day. And you'll be shocked that, oh, is it this small thing? Oh, it's just a phone call. It has become the state matter. Because anything that happens to any child, woman, anybody, a Delta.
So has this called down on the level of child abuse or women abuse?
Oh, yes, exactly. Because people are now very afraid. They don't even want to enter the wahala of any government, the Delta State government. They now tell you that this is Delta State.
And I know the governor's daughter is doing something on girl child also.
Yes. She's my colleague. We work together in the Girl Child Empowerment Office.
Okay, now let's talk about female inclusiveness in governance.
Yes.
We have fewer women in governance. What is responsible for this?
Well, we all need to answer the questions.
Okay, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll consider that. We are still stay with us. We'll be right back. You talk about women pretending. Don't men pretend?
Growing up, I never saw my mother and my father quarrel one day.
Can a woman actually stay in a marriage where the man cannot perform sexually? Bishop Burger, there's a saying that you fake it till you make it. Have you ever faked it? So welcome back to the show. It's Karifest Duchess Onyeka. Before we went on break, we are talking to our guest on today's program, Barrister Bridget Anyafulu, who has been an SSA to the Executive Governor of Delta State on child rights advocacy. She has been a commissioner for humanitarian and community support services, and now she is an aspirant to the Delta State's House of Assembly, Oshimili South. Before we went on break, we were talking about female inclusiveness in governance. And madam, I did ask you a question before we went on break that women in governance, there are too few in comparison to the men folk. What is happening? Who is responsible? Is it that these women are too afraid to vie? Is it that these women are discouraged, probably due to some reasons, maybe like finance, or is the society that is not helping them? What is responsible for this?
Well, I can tell you've raised 3 issues on why things are not working. We talked about society, talked about funding, and then
the men.
Now I tell you that we are first Africans. And then you don't forget the issue of patriarchy. And I tell you also that the coming of the white man did not do women well. The coming of the colonial master is still affecting us till date. Because when the white man came, he came alone. He didn't come with his wife. And so he came and told the men, the black people, we the African, that it is only the men that they can seek. And that has continued. So the issue of patriarchy, that the woman is not supposed to be seen, is only supposed to be heard, even with all the struggle to see how we can get there, we are still on that struggle. But the truth of the matter is, now we are getting wiser. We all know that a woman and a man has come to live as a man and wife. And then in the process, in the course of their habitation, they have also found out that the woman begins to have a big tummy. And then inside the big tummy at the end of the day, sometimes they come in two, sometimes only one comes. Sometimes four. Sometimes four. Sometimes one. When one comes, it can be a male, it can be a female. Sometimes when two comes, it can be two male or two female. The most important thing is that that tummy carries the male and the female. So the issue of gender equality had been settled by God. It was the white man that did the separation when he came. So, and in the 21st century, we're talking about gender equality and gender balance and all that. That has happened. So we should be looking at the economy, we should be looking at decision-making processes, we should be looking at how we can come together. But because of the cost of the problem, it has become very, very difficult for the women to put themselves together. When you say women have not been coming and all that, you find that even in the electoral process, when people go out to vote, who are the people that go and vote? It's women.
Yeah.
So now the election, politics is about figure and funding. Now, if you don't have the two, if you have one, you'll be able to get the other one. But if you have the population and you don't have the power to influence others with your cash, you cannot move. So that is one problem when you raise the issue of funding. Why is women not doing what they are supposed to do in spite of their population? And then, you know, so many people have raised the issue, that Auntie Sarah Jibril had gone to Abuja, and the population at Eagle Square, that period, where women were more. But those women were brought by men, were brought by people who paid. They were in the hotel, they paid. They came by air or by road, they paid. Somebody was paying the bills. So what is the more important now is that women need to have an assembly. Until we begin to believe in ourselves, then we still have a long road to travel. That is the position as of today. The meeting of the World Women Conference in Beijing tried as much as they could to say to us, there is need for affirmative action, so that at some point you will say, this is a percentage left for women to bring in people to see what they can do. Because we know that women, anywhere you put them, including those who didn't go to school, have capacity to manage issues. That is why you see a woman who have never seen the four walls of the school manage a man as strong as a man is, as powerful as a man is. He has a wife or wives. His wives or wife is able to manage him no matter how powerful he is. So God, from the one, gave so much powers to the women, but we have not been able to use it.
Have the women also been influential or instrumental to us as women not participating very well in leadership?
It is when you know who you are. It is when you know who you are, you'll be able to control yourself and your environment. If you do not know who you are,
That's
you are
the
not
power you have.
Exactly. So today I want to tell you that women have so much powers, but we do not recognize that we have so much powers. So I started by telling you that it was a woman that brought in the male and the female.
That's true.
So we do not even have any reason.
So you can't even utilize what you don't know you have.
Yes, we cannot be talking about gender equality and all that, because we have already have equality. And when I talk to you about children in primary school and secondary school in Delta State, I told you that at the point of enrollment, and then from enrollment to retention, from retention to graduation, there's parity already in Delta State. Some other states and even countries are still fighting on how to bridge the gap. But in Delta State, we have parity. So what did His Excellency do in his own place? When he has seen that the power of money is telling on the women, he decided to look at to have a negotiation with the men from the councillorship level and said to every local government, I need at least 3 women that will become councillors in every local government. 3 or more women. If you do not give me 3 or more women, go to your local government and decide. I will personally put the councillors myself. So what did they do? You find that from beginning to now, under His Excellency, every local government has at least 3 female councillors.
That's
now,
female inclusiveness.
Exactly. Now, what did he do again? At the local government level, he said to them that either you give me chairmen as women, or I have vice. So today we have 17 female chairmen.
That's interesting.
It has never happened in Delta State. Now you look at the issues of appointment, whether as senior special assistant, whether as an assistant to the governor, whether as EA, whatever, you find out that His Excellency has also taken his time to make sure
that there are
women. Why did he do it? As a development expert, he knows that women has a lot to offer.
Exactly.
He knows that at any given point a woman is given a position to manage. He will manage that position with her last blood. And so they give him results. It doesn't matter how it is, whatever it is, but he knows that women play a critical role
in governance.
So you see that His Excellency continually, no matter your complaint, when the men complain and His Excellency is doing this, but he knows that it will add
and they will add value
to his administration.
Now let's talk about the need for women to have an assembly, like you did mention earlier on. You have done well, reasonably well, as an appointed leader in different capacities. Now you are aspiring to become an elected official in the Delta State House of Assembly, Oshimile South precisely. What are your plans for the people?
Well, the most important thing that I want the people to know first, I told you that my father will say to you, know thyself, know yourself. It is not an insult. If the moment you know who you are, you are able to manage issues. And I said to you that even a woman who didn't go to school manages the most powerful person.
A man. However complex.
So it is the capacity, it is the ability of the woman to manage the crisis around her that makes her a woman. That makes her understand the powers that she has. So my duty going to contest for this election is to first let my people know who they are. When you know who you are, you'll be able to measure and know where you're coming from.
And where you are going.
Yes. My people will say to you, my father will say to me too, and anybody else, if you don't ask for what killed your father and mother, you will never move forward. Because what killed them will kill you. If you also don't know where the rain started, you will not know where it stopped. So it is not about talking too much. It's about knowing your surrounding, understanding where the rain started, understanding what has happened to me, whether to my parents in the past. Why are we here? Where are we coming from? When you have known that, when the women call for the assembly and know and ask questions, very critical questions and bitter questions that we need to answer. When we have come to that realization, then you will see the woman go into homes and call their fellow women to say, we need you to contest election. Then you will now know the power that is in the woman. you will now know that at that point, money will not count. Because the woman is the mother of the president.
So if now you are elected as a member representing Oshimili South in the Delta State House of Assembly,
by His grace,
you will be there. The first 5 things you will do, what would they be?
When I go there as a House member, don't forget is that the people sent me there. And this is one of the issues that we've had over the years. That when your mother has asked you to go to Bogonogo market to buy me tomato and pepper, you come home because he has given you 5 naira. You come home and say, oh, I have bought pepper, I have bought tomato. This is the change, or there is no change. The first thing is that I know that the people will send me there and the people will hold me accountable. So I will have a duty to always go back to them to say, I have gone to the place. This is the thing we are doing there. And these are the things that we need to do more. And how are we going to do it? It is still by meeting them. So that's why you find that His Excellency has come up with a strategy that is very, very fundamental. Why? Meet the people where they live. So that when you come, it is your duty to go and meet them. At the end of the day, you sit on a round table and discuss the issues affecting your people. In development, they tell you that you don't give this person water because you feel the mouth is dry. The mouth will be dry, maybe because he's having high fever. Until you find out what is wrong with him. So it is critical for you to do the need assessment. The question is, what is wrong with you? What do you think you need? It is when you ask him, what's wrong with you? He will tell you, my body is hot. He will tell you, I'm having headache. He will tell you, my eye is dry. When he has given you all these symptoms, you will now know why the lips are dry. So it is not because it's tasty. So my duty is to go back to the people who sent me, to say to them, you have sent me to this place. Let us know how we are going to package ourselves. What are the problems in this world? It is your duty to go find out.
Okay, that is
It is your duty to make sure you sit with them and discuss with them at their own time. And you are not going to be the big man of the people. So you must make sure that you remember, I will know, because I know that they are sending me. So at no point will an okra be bigger than the owner. So
that's the variable in our local palace.
Yes.
You bend the okra and just take it out.
So the moment you recognize who sent you, it is at that time you'll be able to sit down and know that there's a lot of work on the table.
So how about in the area of lawmaking? Which
laws do
you think you will put in place or help influence?
Lawmaking is already the purpose of my going to that place. So you don't just make law, come up with bills because you want to go and drop bills. It is when you have sat down with your people. There are so many things happening. There are so many things around us when we have put ourselves together. Because when we were starting this program, the key word was inclusiveness. No governance is inclusive until the people have participated. So they must participate. They must participate. It is when they have participated, they are able to tell you, even the bill she has at the House of Assembly, we all discussed it. So it is important that we do not bring something and impose. We know in my local government, we have very educated people. We have those of them who are middle educated. We have those ones that are low. But at every given point, each and every one of them counts. So you sit down with them, we put our knowledge together and present what we need to present. So that when you present it, it will not just be because of you. It will be a presentation, an exercise of the people. My job is to do the drafting.
Okay, so if we look at your manifesto now as a candidate, can we itemize 5 roles you want to play there, or 5 do I say 5 lists from your manifesto? Can you itemize like 5 decisions you'll be taking or 5 things you'll be implementing when you are elected as a member representing Oshile South in the Delta State House of Assembly?
Yes, my duty, even as we are talking, I have said so many things.
Yes, I know. But I just want us to itemize like 5 things you want to do, like plans you have for the people in a simple language that they can easily pick. For those people that are not so learned, that might be watching.
Now, issues affecting your people. Don't forget that you have the children.
Yes.
And education for children is very critical.
So
there is nothing
you
can do without education.
So we're looking at education.
If your children have education, not having education is not just having a school bag and books. There must be a friendly environment that children will have to go to school and eager. Even when it's a Saturday, the child is preparing to go to school. We say you want to go to school and the mother will say, don't you know today is Saturday?
Okay, so
that means
education attractive for the
very. That means that child has is in love with the school environment.
Okay. What about you?
The youths.
Okay.
The youths, what His Excellency has started, it is important also to know that without the children and the youths, any nation is doomed.
That's true.
Without these critical people, there are critical stakeholders in any nation. So for my local government, I know that the children are very critical. The youths, without the youths, this local government is finished.
That's true.
So when you engage the mind of the youths, you remove them from the mindset they already have. Growing up as a youth, I knew how we grew up here in Nasaba. When you leave school, there was a competition of who will be the first to be in the library. You bring back the ideas of reading, getting them engaged in skills, even with their certificates, like His Excellency has done. Making them be part of everything. They need to know every single detail, what is happening in their local government and across the country. How do you do that? You must make sure at every given point you are following the trends of things. Has anything happened now? You read it. It's not going to be the issue of social media posting issues. No. Their minds must be engaged. They will have to do other skills. It is not just one. You don't stand in one place to watch masquerade. There are so many things that can engage youths, and at the end of the day, they come up with very beautiful results. So when the youths are engaged positively, the local government will be at peace. And don't forget that my local government is hosting the state. So, and you know that under His Excellency, everything has been peaceful. And I look forward to having a peaceful administration under the incoming governor, and the local government will be very peaceful. The local government is peaceful because the youths are peaceful.
So we look at education,
yes.
We look at the youth empowerment, we look at peace.
Yes.
Okay.
Then there are so many issues His Excellency has raised, issues of health insurance and all that. When you do that, just 7,000, anybody can go to the hospital. And because it's a policy already, the incoming governor will make sure that these things are properly implemented.
How about women?
Yes. Now, you know that the women are good managers. Women are very good managers. That's why you will see a woman who sells bitter leaf in the market. From that small bitter leaf, is able to take the child to school. Some of them are widows. Some of them have very vulnerable husbands. But you will not know, because that small bitter leaf is selling, is feeding them, and is making the husband also happy. Now we are going to engage them, because there are a lot of programs in the states. You engage them with what the state is doing, and make sure also that those are micro businesses, part of what Directorate of Humanitarian Service, Community Support Services is doing. All the micro businesses, they must engage every man, every woman. So women in the marketplaces with micro businesses, His Excellency wants to know what they are doing. Because you give a woman 10,000, just give her some time. That 10,000 will be more than 300,000.
That's true.
Yes. So every woman is an asset to the family. So these are women who will be engaged, because with them, when the woman is at peace, the children are at peace, the youth at peace, the man can go and sleep, because the society will be at peace.
Thank you so much, Barrister Bridget Anyafulu, for coming. You are so interesting that I forgot that it's a 30 minutes program. I think we'll call you back on the program. Thank you so much for staying with us. Viewers, you've heard it all. You've heard it all from our guest today. Women inclusiveness, the role of women inclusiveness in governance cannot be overrated. We cannot undermine this. Women are stakeholders in governance. And until we begin to realize this, we begin to appreciate this, and we begin to engage more women in governance, we might really not make a headway in governance. Until we come your way again next time, same time next week, do keep a date with us. It's the Karifest show. And from this end, have a pleasant night rest.